What's up, family? Welcome to another exciting episode of Rappers in My Backyard, the podcast that stays lit. We talk about relationships, music, and entertainment. And today, we got one for you. Thanks so much for tuning in. And I really hope that you had a great week with everything we got going on. Our topic today is going to be our relationship with fortune and fame. And on the grill today, we will be talking about Saudi Arabia. What do they think about the U.S.? Also, you guys know that I love setting up every episode with a quote. So here it is. Nothing but pain, stuck in this game, searching for fortune and fame. And that comes from Tupac, and that sets us up nicely to talk, express, relate, connect with our special guest today. Napoleon from the Outlawz is in the backyard. What's up, family?
What's going on? How's everything?
Everything is good. How's things with you?
I'm good out here. Thanks for having me as a guest.
Man, thanks for kicking it with us.
I like that intro.
Oh, cool. I mean, I gotta mention that you are all the way in Saudi Arabia talking to me in Los Angeles.
Yes. I'm all the way in Saudi, the capital, Riyadh City.
There it is. So, man, let's kick this off. I've been waiting for this moment, and here it is. So, what you been up to, Napoleon?
You know me, I left the music industry years ago, walked away from it, started some businesses, got involved in some entrepreneurship, motivational speaking, and I moved to Saudi Arabia 10 years ago.
Wow. Now that's something to talk about. So before we dig deep into that, I want to lay the groundwork for our audience so they can know how you done laid a lot of great work in this game called hip hop. So my first question is, how did the Outlawz come together?
The Outlawz came together, before we was the Outlawz, we went through phases of different names. We started off as the Young Thugs. We was the Young Thugs, myself, Edie, Gaddafi, and Castro. And then we went on to be called Dramacidal. Pac changed our name to Dramacidal. We signed a record deal with Interscope Records. We finished the album. And when we finished the album, Pac went through his situation. He went through in New York. He got arrested and he got shot. Then he got arrested. And one day he called us. It was like, you know what? I'm signing to Death Row. We scratching the Dramacidal album. I'm coming up with a new group. You guys are going to be involved in it. And it's going to be called Outlaw Immortals. So we went from these different names, Outlaw Immortals. And then we ended up just being the Outlawz.
So that's cool. So how was it working with Tupac?
Pac, he's very disciplined, and he treated us, as his little brothers, but he was hard on us. A lot of people don't know he was hard on us. Pac, we got a lot of...
In what ways?
In so many ways.
On you guys?
He was hard on us, but when I look back at it, it was all for protection and for our own benefit. We was in Los Angeles. We was East Coast kids moving to Los Angeles. It's a whole nother coach out there. You know what I mean? So we used to literally have to sneak outside of Pac's house when he go to sleep just to have fun as young teenagers because he didn't want us to get caught up in anything. You know what I mean?
Right.
So he was overprotective because he knew what, people can easily get food in LA with the palm trees, the sunshine. So Pac was protecting us, and he was hard on us, you know what I mean, when it came to musically.
Mm-hmm.
He was hard on us musically, and that's why we was able to get to a point where we was able to knock out 3 or 4 or 5 songs a day. You know, we thought it was the norm, but later on, we realized that it wasn't too many artists working that had that work ethics that Pac himself laid down to us, the Outlawz. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. So you worked with him like on a lot of his major hits, like All Eyes on Me and Me Against the World. So what was the mind frame during that time when you guys were putting together those type of records?
You know, it was different phases because Pac was going through different phases in his life. When we did Me Against
Okay.
the World, that was actually the first album that I ever appeared on with Pac. And we appeared on that album as Dramacidal. And I think the song that I appeared on was Outlaw or something like that, you know? So Pac
Okay.
was going through different phases. Like when he was doing the Me Against the World, he was going through his case. You know what I mean? He did the album in majority of it in New York City. And you know what I mean? You hear different Tupac on Me Against the World than All Eyes on Me. When we did All Eyes
Yeah.
on Me, it was for him, it was wartime. You know what I mean? He looked at it like, now that I'm home, I got a score to settle. So the atmosphere was different because now we're on the West Coast and we're in Death Row studio. So the whole environment was different. You know what I mean?
Right. I bet that was the case.
Yeah.
So my thing is like the Outlawz, you guys were at the top of your game. So what happened?
You know, to be honest, a lot of people don't know we got blackballed. We pretty much was
Oh,
blackballed in the music industry. You know, after Pac died, we was looked at as the troublemakers in the music industry. You know what I mean? Because when Pac passed away, he died in the midst of the East Coast, West Coast beef, and we looked like we was the instigators. You know, they needed a scapegoat, so everybody started pointing the fingers at, well, it was Pac who started this, and it was his road dogs, the Outlawz was right behind him. So you had a lot of people that was trying to really stop us, you know, from doing our own thing. We signed a record deal with Death Row, with Suge, and it didn't work out, so we had to get released from the album, the record label, Death Row. After that, we
okay.
went independent. We went independently. You know what I mean? A lot of people don't know we was one of the first artists who decided to go independently when people was getting like $10 per CD, you know. So we did
Right.
we did 2 independent albums before we did another record with Interscope and Death Row called Still I Rise that sold over, I think, maybe 2 million to this day. You know, so we had our ups and downs in the music industry. People ain't really want us, you know what I mean, around them.
Right. So you, in other words, got blackballed due to affiliation.
Pretty much, you know, after Pac died, you got to remember the people that we was pretty much young attacking was people like P. Diddy and Jay-Z, who ended up rising in the music industry, who ended up having like some type of say-so, you know what I mean, with these execs, because they became who they are now. They started to
Right.
become who they are now. They was rising. So they would, you know, they didn't like us, you know what I mean? So it is what it is. So we had to really, you know, we really had to do what we had to do, and we were independent, you know what I mean?
Right. Right. Which was a good move
For sure, it
because
was a
you
good
wouldn't have
move.
been able to do much being blackballed in this industry. But the
For
fact that you
sure.
guys went on and did independent said a lot about your strength.
Definitely, you know, and it worked out for
So,
us. You know, independent, you sell 200,000 copies, and we was getting about $10 per CD, so we was all right. You know what I mean? We was all right.
right, able to eat.
Yeah, we was able to
That
eat,
that
man, pay the
definitely
bills.
makes a difference.
For sure.
So I got to ask you, Napoleon, what was your
Yes.
experience at Death Row Records?
You know, Death Row was a wild environment, but when I came around Pac, I was a wild individual from New Jersey, so it was just the right environment that I wanted to be around. You know what I mean? Like I was fascinated by that type of lifestyle, you know, being around these dudes. The atmosphere was just chaotic. And that time of my life, that's the atmosphere that I was able to basically breathe in, you know what I mean? Survive. So Death Row was
Yeah.
fun for me. When I look back at it, I can say, wow, we survived some crazy things. We was around a lot of crazy things, but as a young kid who's wild, it comes with the territory. It was fun.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I
Because
mean?
I know that I've had several people on the podcast that has been signed to Death Row, and they were saying things like there was blank contracts that up and coming artists had to sign and all sorts of stuff. So that's why I asked you that question.
We never faced anything like that because we was with Pac. You know, the relationship between Pac and Suge, it was nothing but love and respect. So we never faced anything like that. After Pac died, we did sign to Death Row. You know what I mean? And when he asked to buy our publishing, you know, we was like, nah, we're not selling it. And that's when the friction started at the beginning. But we ended up, at the end of the day, even when we left Death Row, we always had a respectful relationship between ourselves and Suge. You know what I mean? So it never really went sour. You know, it never really went bad.
Well, that's good. So how tight was Suge and Tupac? I mean, they must have been pretty close since y'all didn't have to worry about all the sucker stuff that was taking place.
They was like brothers, and you got to understand, man, like, you know, sucker stuff happened to suckers. You know what I mean?
That's
like,
it.
Everybody ain't suckers. You know what I mean? Everybody is not going to just allow anything to happen to them. And Suge knew that when Pac was around, even after Pac, he knew that we wasn't just going to be, we not no big gangsters, but at the same time, we were men who stood on what we believed. And I think that's why he respected us, even to this day. You know, I'm still cool with most of the people around Death Row. So the sucker stuff, it happened if you allow it. You know what I mean? And it was a lot of things happening to a lot of people during them days. It was some wild things happening, definitely.
Right. And I totally believe in what you said. You know, people treat you the way you allow them to treat you. You know, and we got to understand that, and we got to stand on that, especially in those cases when it comes to our career and the things that we want to do. Definitely. That's a good look that you would just stood on it and was able to get those nuggets of knowledge and move forward.
Definitely. It was a learning experience for sure.
Yeah. Well, you know what, Napoleon, this sets us up nicely to go to the grill. Let's take it to the grill. Flames everywhere. So today, Napoleon, we got Saudi Arabia on the grill. Yes. I'm just wondering, man, what they saying about the U.S., because we ain't looking good at all over here.
You know tough. What I mean? It depends on who you ask, to be honest. You know what I mean? It depends on who you ask.
You know, so let's talk about it, because I need for you to paint this picture for me, as if I was sitting next to you, because you used to live in the U.S. like me, and I want to know what that difference is between our lifestyle here in the U.S., you know, greed, all of these things we suffer, and what Saudi Arabia has to offer.
Well, you know, Saudi Arabia, it's a conservative environment. And I realized, I found out during the whole situation when the COVID-19 first struck, that the American embassy and ambassador in Saudi Arabia, he was thankful the way Saudi Arabia handled that. And then he said that it's 80,000 Americans here in Saudi Arabia. And it makes sense, you know, like Suleiman, my homie and the author of the book, he been out here for about 17 years. We got Mexicans from East LA out here. You know what I mean? We got homies from Compton out here, from Newark, from Philly, from New York. It's a lot of us. You know what I mean? You'll be surprised how many African Americans, white Americans, Latino, a lot of people was out here, British people. So Saudi Arabia is like a melting pot for those who want to be in an environment that is an Islamic environment. So I wanted to raise my kids here. You know what I mean? When I go outside, the police is pretty much the same color as me. I don't have to get worried when he pulled me over. You know what I mean? The first time I got pulled over by the cops in Saudi Arabia, he jumped out saying, "Salam alaikum," mean peace be upon you. You know, so that's one of the differences that you see in an environment like this. You know what I mean? We're welcoming here, you know?
And that's a difference, because if I see a cop trailing behind me, I'm immediately in fear, because they're not going to say welcome and happy to see you. We got a real significant problem. Now, are you guys having or experiencing the racial tension that we're experiencing in America right now?
See, Saudi Arabia is a tribal environment. You know what I mean? I'm sure it's racism. I believe it's racism everywhere. But you got to understand the society here. Like, Islamically is not allowed openly. So if it's somebody who might say, I don't like this guy because he's a white American, I don't trust him, or I don't like him because he's black, they cannot utter these words outside, or they cannot act upon this understanding because the law protect you from that. Like, for example, I would tell you an example that I read. There was a Sudani, he's an African Sudani doctor. And he had a case where a Saudi guy came to him and wanted him to pretty much give him a prescription. Give him a letter saying that he didn't go to work or something because he was ill. And the Sudani doctor said, I'm not going to do nothing like that. Mm-hmm. And the Saudi guy says a racial slur towards him. So when the Sudani guy called the cops, the police came and they arrested the Saudi guy. So here, there's no such thing as freedom of speech, especially if your speech going to cause, division and tension. The government doesn't allow that. You know what I mean? So you protect it here in so many ways. You know what I mean?
Right.
When it comes to these things.
Now, what I want to ask you, being someone that has always had a voice, you know what I mean? And your voice has changed hip hop in society. And so how do you carry yourself in Saudi Arabia not being able to voice it in the same kind of way?
Definitely. I think, you know what I mean? I'm active on social media. You know what I mean? I'm active on social media. I did a video back in the day, about a month ago when George Floyd passed away. Okay. And the video that I did, for example, I was like, somebody asked me, why did I move to Saudi Arabia? And I said, for example, look what happened to George Floyd. Unfortunately, we Americans in a country that you still have this killing happening to people of color. I said, here in Saudi Arabia, for example, I don't have to worry about that. The video actually went viral in Saudi Arabia. It got millions of views. And it was hashtags in Arabic from Saudi people saying that we stand with George Floyd. You know what I mean? So I know that there's still a lot for the people here to learn about the culture in the USA and vice versa. Like, you know what I mean? So I was happy to see that. I was happy to see that the people that was, you know what I mean? So it let me know that I'm still able to put my voice out there and with current situations that's happening. You know, it might not have to be with music, but I've been the type of person that's going to speak my mind. You know what I mean? So my voice is still heard, God willing.
That's a powerful thing. The voice and the use of words are so about the power to uplift or tear somebody down. And you know that to be true. And I gotta ask, because I'm an outspoken woman, and I know for a fact in Saudi Arabia, I wouldn't be able to voice myself in the same way. Was that shocking to you as far as women and how they're treated there?
That's one of the misconceptions about Saudi Arabia. People think that the woman here is just like treated very harshly. And it's from the media. I don't blame them because the media portray that. You know what I mean? If you come here, you would be shocked the way the women are treated here. You know what I mean? You would be absolutely shocked. Women here, they living like queens. You know what I mean? You see women, they just started driving. Women just started driving about a year ago. And you see
that's them what I was going to ask.
And you see them driving around. You see them driving past in Rolls Royces, Bentleys, and cars that even some men here can't even afford. So you say like if they was that oppressed, how as soon as they got their license, they already in a Lamborghini or a Porsche. It's a lot of misconceptions when it comes to these things. One thing about the even the law here, for example, in Saudi Arabia, is that if a person even bothers a woman and nag a woman in public, if she called the police, you going to jail. The woman have rights here. So when you hear these things and saying that, I always laugh because I'm here in Saudi Arabia and I laugh. I see stuff where they like a Saudi woman can't go to the doctor without the permission of a husband. I'm laughing because I'm like, who come up with these things?
Right. Because I also had read that it was not until 2012 that women was able to sell lingerie. Before that was only able to be purchased from a man.
These things are true. You know what I mean? And because of it's because of the cultural aspect of Saudi Arabia, it's in a society that was very, you know, where it would look like a woman who's going to sell lingerie for the society. A father would say, it's almost shameful that my daughter's selling lingerie. That's something that a woman should wear in front of her husband. So for a long time, they wouldn't even let their daughters or a woman wouldn't even want to work in that field because of the culture. You know what I mean? So now that it changed, of course, you know what I mean? Because you have women that say, I'm not going to go buy my lingerie from a man. So culturally, you know, that was the society, you know, and it changed. You're right, you know?
Right.
Yeah,
so I know also, as far as the women out there, I mean, compared to the women here, I mean, you know, we're swinging off poles and everything, barely dressed. I mean, you know, I just got to be honest as a woman, that, you know, it's pretty loose out here. And I'm not saying I'm a champion for that. I'm just saying that, I mean, there's something to be said about respecting yourself as a woman in front of your husband, or if you want a husband.
Yes, I agree with you.
So are you married out there?
Yes, I'm married for 16 years.
Wow.
You know, I got 4 kids, 4 of them here in Saudi Arabia with me. My oldest son is in Los Angeles. He's 21 years old. You know what I mean? So if it was a place where I felt like it was bad for women, I would have never came out here with my wife. You know what I mean? But I knew that she's more safe and more protected in a country like Saudi. I feel safe for her in this country than in the USA. You know what I mean? Like, because the society in general protects women, despite what the people say. You know, there was a lady that came out here because they did a heavyweight boxing match a year ago with Anthony Joshua and the Mexican homie, I forget his name. And so a lot of people came out here, and there was a lady, American lady, that when she posted that she's coming to Saudi Arabia, I guess she was part of the promotional team, everybody started attacking her. And she made a video. She was like, now I know that we Americans are ignorant. She said, since I landed in this country, I have never been more respected by men. She said, I never faced more, and she's a white American woman. She said, I never faced more, you know, hospitality. Nobody disrespected me for being a lady. She said it was actually the opposite. She was shocked, you know what I mean?
Wow.
And most people that come, they say the same thing. You have to
know
come
what,
visit
Napoleon, move a little bit to the left for me.
Okay.
Because you're falling out of frame.
We there?
Yeah.
That's better?
You solid. So also, it's just so crazy, the misconception of what we have in the U.S. versus what it really is.
For sure.
You know, also,
media.
How did y'all deal with the COVID-19?
Well, Saudi, they did an amazing job because as soon as, you know, it started spreading, they stopped. Even now to this day, there's no international flights coming in or leaving, you know, unless it's emergency. They stopped traveling to, you know, domestically to different cities. Then they made a curfew. So the numbers went down tremendously. You know what I mean? So they did an amazing job. Anybody that had the COVID, the king said that they would take care of their medical expenses. No, even if they was illegal. They said people that's illegal in this country, if they get sick and they have the COVID, the government of Saudi Arabia is paying for everything. So they really stepped it up. You know what I mean?
Wow. So your medical insurance and stuff out there is all paid for their people?
Yeah, here you get free medical. Well, the Saudi people, they get free medical, free education, free home loans, free loans for business if they need. And if you're a foreigner that's coming here to work, by law, you cannot bring a foreigner to come do business or work unless you give them medical insurance. So nobody here is uninsured. You know what I mean?
Man,
it's a lot of misconception.
And it's a dictatorship, right? You just have the king, or how's the government arranged?
I wouldn't say a dictatorship. You know,
I'm just asking.
It's a kingdom. It's a kingdom.
It's a kingdom.
It's a kingdom. It's a kingdom. And you know, the people love their king. You know, the people, because he take care of his people. You know, every year since I've been here, I just turn on the news and the king will come on and say, every Saudi you get $5,000 this month free, and then the people go on the streets and start going crazy. Like, he take care of the people. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like, for example,
I love my king
Abdullah,
like that too, but that's my husband.
That's good. That's good.
But man, I would love to come near and just visit and just be able to take in the discipline that it seems that you really have, and to be able to see how other women live fully clothed. And I would love to be able to have free medical insurance. You know, and I would fall in love with the king too.
Of course. Yeah, Saudi, you know, it's a good place. It's definitely unique place.
Yeah, well, you ain't looking like an outlaw today. You looking way calmer and cooler than we are here in the US. Man, we sweating it out here, man.
Oh man,
I mean, it's just not a good look.
Hopefully it gets better.
We're gonna learn today, Napoleon. No, we are. You know, because we got in a state of selfishness, greed, you know, ripping the life out of other people by using bad words and social media, bullying, just got out of control.
Yeah, unfortunately.
And that's why we're paying this price.
You're right, man. It's sad. Hopefully it get better.
It is sad.
It'll get better, hopefully, God willing.
Oh, yeah. We know who got this thing under control. So if you spiritually and you know what God does, then there's no worries. Because I'm not worried, but I'm cautious.
That's good. That's how we should be.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
In everything we do. Definitely. So, you know, we got to be concerned about other people, you know, or else we're not going to be able to move forward. You know? Of course.
I agree with you.
That's just straight up. So you know what, Napoleon?
Yes.
We grilled Saudi Arabia. So let's take that off the grill. So long, take it off the grill. Long. I'll be back to visit. So let's keep rolling with the questions. So what happened in 2005 that compelled you to retire and become a motivational speaker?
You know, I became Muslim in 2002.
Okay.
And I left the Outlawz, you know, when I became Muslim, because I figured, you know, that I'm Muslim, I wanted to do records, still give that message that we was used to giving. But I was like, you know what, now that I'm Muslim, I'm gonna try to do something without cuss words. And one day I get a call from Johnny J. Johnny J is one who produced, you know, majority of Pac songs and Pac hits. And he was like, look, I want to sign you to a solo deal. So I ended up doing a whole record with Johnny J, a solo album. And the more that I was recording, the more I was learning about the religion of Islam, you know what I mean? Becoming more spiritual and becoming and trying to become a better Muslim. And I just realized that the industry is not what I wanted anymore. I just felt like it was in contradiction with a lot of things that I was trying to do, you know? I remember the first thing that made me change is when I realized that if I do put this album out, I'm gonna have to be in places that I was trying to avoid, you know what I mean? And after a while, I was like to Johnny J, man, like, you know what I mean? I want to give up music, but you know, you did the album, I give you your rights to put it out, but after this, I'm through. So eventually he didn't end up putting it out, and I was just like, you know what? I'm finished with music, the industry in general, and music and things like that. And I had to make that decision, you know what I mean? And to me, it's one of the best decisions I ever made.
Also, I had listened to your previous interview, and you were saying that the biggest problem was that Islam and rap music, they're basically built on two separate things. There was no way you can do both of them.
Exactly. And that's what made me say I have to make a decision, you know what I mean? Because you know, rap, just the lifestyle in general. You gotta uphold a certain lifestyle, a certain, you know what I mean? A certain lifestyle comes with music, and you gotta be high and drunk. You gotta promote that type of lifestyle, which is against Islam. You know what I mean? So for me, I said, you know what, I have to make that decision. And people thought I was crazy, you know what I mean? My brothers, cousins, friends, a lot of people. But now, years later, they like, man, we happy you made that decision because we see that, you know what I mean, you happy with what you done. You stood on it and it made you, you know what I mean?
And man, you just got a great piece about you now. You know
Thank
what
you.
I mean?
Appreciate that.
You ain't
Appreciate
hurried
that.
for nothing. You are, you have the type of piece that they should sell. You know what I mean?
Wow.
Because I can just see it exuding through you as we have this conversation.
Thank you. Appreciate that for sure.
And it's helping me be calm too.
I think because it's early out there in LA, huh?
Yeah, it's early, but I mean, a great conversation is always calming to your spirit.
For sure.
You know,
for sure.
especially
you seem
when
calm. You seem calm.
Yeah.
In general, you seem like you're a peaceful person. So it's all love both ways.
Yeah, thank you for that.
What part of LA you
I
from?
need
If you
to
don't mind
ask
me
you.
asking?
I'm sorry, what'd you say?
What part of LA you guys are from?
Los Angeles.
Okay.
Right in the center of it all.
Nice.
Florence.
Inglewood.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay,
Crenshaw.
nice. Yes.
Yeah.
Dope.
I love living over here though, because at least I know the pulse of my city and situation.
I love LA. You know, I lived in LA more than I lived in New Jersey. Before I moved to Saudi Arabia, I was in LA for about 20 years, close to 20 years. So I love LA. You know what I mean? Especially
Yeah, LA
every
is
summer I'm
nice.
back in LA. It's nice, definitely.
Yeah. So I got to ask you, Napoleon, in your opinion, what is our relationship with fame and fortune in hip hop?
I think, you know, in hip hop, the more famous you are, the more of a chance you're going to sell these records. You know what I mean? And like you mentioned the quote at the beginning, you know, what Pac said. And, you know, Pac used to always call fame success, not success. He used to say it's sickening. You know what I mean? Because when you want fame, you know, unfortunately, most people would do anything to be famous nowadays. You know what I mean? Especially in the time we living in the social media, people would damn near throw themselves off a roof as long as somebody recording them and they get the likes and the views. You know what I mean? So it's a sickening thing, and you got and if you're gonna use your fame, you know, for positivity, you know, you're doing good for the people, then you can say fame is actually, you know, that famous person is taking advantage in a good way. So you got to be balanced with it. You know what I mean? Got to be balanced.
You do. And not only that, fame is something that you got to prepare yourself for mentally, you know, because once it happens, you have to have a strong foundation in which to be able to make the best out of the situation.
Exactly.
So,
and don't let it get to your head.
Oh yeah, you can never let anything get to your head.
Facts.
The ego is the biggest mistake we can ever make.
For sure. You know, one of the things about Pac, I love one of the things that he done for us, man, is that he used to want us to be rappers, but then he used to hate us to want fame. Like, it's a video that I seen not too long ago when he was talking to Gaddafi and Edie, and they was at Pan Studio. Somebody had a camera in their face asking them a question, and Pac came out. He's like, "Look, you people love the fame. You love the fame. You love the camera. That's gonna be your downfall." So he used to want us to rap on his records, but he didn't want us to enjoy. He didn't want that fame to get. He was trying to protect us from that. He wanted us to be the homies that we spit, but at the same time, we be very careful with this fame. You know what I mean? Because he see what it can do to you.
Yeah, and it really changed the dynamic of who people are in your life, because the people change, you don't. So with the people around you, it becomes like now they feel like they're not worthy to be around you, but that's their issue, not yours.
Yeah. Facts.
You know,
you're right.
And that's the thing that hurts us all. You know, when our inner unit starts doubting who they are and the part that they play, you know?
Yeah, unfortunately. And it's difficult. You're trying to please everybody around you. You know, fame can be heavy. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it is heavy.
It's heavy, definitely.
So I want to get into what you're doing now with your book,
Yeah,
and all the cool stuff that you've been
definitely.
working on as a motivational speaker and getting your story out there. So we're going to
Yeah,
add in the gentleman that you wrote the
Suleiman.
book with, or he wrote the book.
Yes, Suleiman. Written by him,
Suleiman.
narrated by my Suleiman. Yes.
Yeah, we're going to bring his wonderful voice in now out there
Mhm.
in the audience so that you guys, when you hear that third voice, and it's not coming from me or Napoleon, it's coming from him. And he's going to give us some background on the book and stuff as we start having that conversation. So do we have you, Suleiman?
Was he there?
Unmute your mic.
Let me see if I can find him here.
Yeah, I'm here.
Suleiman.
Oh,
He
he's
there. He
there.
there. He there.
Okay, so we're all on together, but we can't see Suleiman, but his voice will keep marching on. All right, that's what we do. So let's talk about how your documentary came together first, called The
Okay.
Life of an Outlaw.
The documentary, my friend Jonathan from Canada, he hit me up one day and was like, let's put a documentary together about your life, you know what I mean? And we was able to team up with like Gobi. He produced a couple videos of Pac. He was actually one of Pac partners, and we did some interviews, you know what I mean? And it was excited. It was excited to be able to tell my story in that way. But with a documentary, you only can do, so many people involved. So you only can tell, you cannot go past a certain, certain line or certain, you can't really express yourself too much in a documentary, like a book. You know what I mean? When I did the book, I noticed that it was a whole nother level. You know what I mean?
So I know the book probably gave more of an insight than the documentary, because like you said, there's so many Indians that is needed to make a documentary. And I mean Indians in a great way.
Yes.
So
too many Indians, not enough chiefs to make the
yeah,
documentary. For
yeah.
sure.
So that makes it kind of tough. So let's talk about your book, and how that came together.
The book came
Talk to
about
us about that, Suleiman.
Suleiman.
Yeah, I mean, basically,
Talk up a
Muta
little
and
bit
I,
for us.
yeah, basically, Muta and I, we discussed the prospect of writing a book for him after his documentary came out, and we decided that there's quite a lot of themes in his life that would be interesting for the people to hear about. So, we decided to talk about it. And, we came up with the idea of writing a book. I showed him some of my work before, and, the rest is history.
Suleiman being humble with it, that's my man. But, when we started to do the book, I thought he was just like anyone else. He's from Brooklyn, but academically, he's on a whole nother level. Oxford University only accept, or Oxford Press, they don't accept writings from anyone. You know what I mean? They accepted about I think about 2 or 3 of what he submitted. You know what I mean? So academically, he's a professor at one of the biggest university, not only in the Middle East and North Africa, even in the world. He's a professor. So when we first started talking about the book, I was thinking that he's from the hood. You know what I mean? He's from Brooklyn. So maybe the book is going to go a way that most rappers' book is like an extension of rap music. They want to talk about how much of a gangster they is and this and this and that. And only a certain type of people can relate to certain books. But when I seen, the sample, I was like, it exceeded my expectation. He wrote it in a way that even if you don't listen to rap music, or if you don't know anything about the inner cities of African American, everyone around the world would be able to relate to it. And it's done it's very classy. You know what I mean? Where you can be a gangster, you can be a teacher, you can be anyone would be able to relate to it. And I believe it's a story inside of the book that probably someone anywhere in the world would be able to, you know, relate to. So
right.
He's humble. He gonna keep it humble though.
Yeah, I mean, you know, he's a very, I mean, I wish you guys out there in the audience could see Suleiman, because he is rocking the best beard in the business. Y'all think y'all got a beard? This guy, man. Whoo.
You know what you can do? You can probably mute me and let Suleiman come on for a little bit.
We'll try that at the end. Because I mean, being that we're linked from Saudi Arabia, dude, I don't want no mistakes.
All right.
So, Suleiman, let me talk to you a little bit about what, also to Napoleon, what can we learn from your book?
Well, there's a lot of
as a reader.
There's a lot of things to learn because Mutaw's life intersects with many different things in life. You know, his life intersects with many things that affected the Black community, like police brutality, mental illness. You know, you mentioned in the connection between fame and fortune. You know, if celebrities, you know, they can read the book and see that there's this tension between inner peace but fame. You know, how do you reconcile that? How do you reconcile between you know, being in the limelight but having inner peace? You know, so this is something that Mutaw struggled with. And then it's also the book also serves as a hip hop relic. You know, we have historical quotes from Nas, from E40. You know, we have a first-hand account from Mutaw about the whole thing that happened between, you know, the East Coast West Coast beef with Nas, with Pac and Biggs. You know, so is the idea behind designing the book was that any reader can come to the book and come away with just more than Mutaw's story. You know, they'll be able to come away with you know, with a lot, whether it's spiritual, whether it's business, whether it's psychological, whether it's history and cultural things like that. You'll be able to, you know, you'll be able to get a lot of things out of the book.
Yeah. And you know, the most powerful thing about it that you two have put into the book that I think is an amazing thing for our culture to be able to recognize and grab hold of is that money does not change who you are as far as your self-esteem, as far as the way you treat people, as far as the way that you progress through life. That requires work. And a lot of people just think, oh, you know, I'm gonna get this money and then I become this whole person. But you gotta be a whole person before you seek out to be great.
Exactly.
Do you agree with that statement?
Me?
Both of you guys.
I agree with you.
Yep.
So, man, I'm just excited about the book. And I just really believe that right now it's a necessary read because all of these young artists are seriously caught up with social media. And look at me, the girls is getting naked. We're just flying the coop over here. So you need to send 80,000 copies of that book to the US. For free. No, I'm just kidding. But we need it.
God willing, it's coming soon. You know what I mean? We're gonna drop it in fall this fall, so it's coming. Definitely.
Yeah, and so when you do get it, let me know so that I can let all the people that watch this show know that, man, the transformation is on. You could change your life if you want to do it.
Definitely. You
and
definitely
still
can.
be successful.
Sure. Definitely. I agree with you.
You know, and I just wanted to also mention, I need to give a shout out to my man, Dave House, because
shout out to Dave.
He's a good dude, man. He's just a good dude. And without him, I would not be able to reach Saudi Arabia and talk to such a talented spirit, such a motivational spirit, and just someone that's filled with hope and inspiration. So thank you for that.
Yeah, thanks, Dave, man. Dave, you know, Dave is a childhood friend of mine, and he always been the same. You know what I mean? So definitely shout out to Dave. He's the
I got
Jamaican.
a special place in my heart for Dave too, because he run hard for whoever he works with, whether, you know, and when you got an idea, he's going to be the man that will find somebody for that idea to move forward. So you hear me, Dave? Take my show to the next level, Dave.
Make it happen, Dave.
Make it happen, Dave.
With a name like David House, it could happen.
So, Soliman, is there anything else that you want to say about the book in reference to when it'll be available for us hungry people that really need to read it? Where are we at with that?
It should be. We have a publishing deal with a New York publishing house called DO Press, and it should be out in the fall. It should be out this fall, 2020.
Okay, cool. So what I'm gonna need y'all to do, I need Napoleon to sign a copy, and I need you, Solomon, the guy with the best beard in the game, to sign it too. I gotta have that up in the studio at the podcast. You know?
It's all good.
And once you guys get that book ready, we gotta rap again.
For sure.
Because we gotta help each other get people that love that you guys have. You know what I mean?
For sure. Let's make it happen again, man. Dave, reach out to us. We'll make it happen again for sure.
All right, good look. So, Napoleon, how can we follow your movement?
You know, I'm active on social media, Instagram, Mutabil. This is MUTAHBEALE. Twitter, okay. Muta Napoleon, Facebook. I'm active, so people can follow me. You know what I mean?
Cool. And you got a website too.
We got a website. I got a few. I just got to make sure it works. I don't want to tell you the wrong website because I forget.
All right, but when you get your website, make sure that you shoot it to me so that I can let people know, because a lot of people are going to want to follow your movement, and we got to get them ready for this book for sure.
Definitely, let's do it. Appreciate you having us as a guest. You know,
man, I appreciate you and the great guy Solomon, the scholar, and man, I wish y'all could see the visual. I wish y'all could see the visual.
Thank you.
But thanks to you, Napoleon, for coming on the show today. I really appreciate you having the time to kick it with us. I mean, that means a lot to me, because here we are trying to form relationships and learn more about each other and all the great things that we do in our lives. You know what I'm saying? Definitely. So let's go back to the quote. Nothing but pain, stuck in the game, searching for fortune and fame. And that set us up nicely to have a provocative, interesting, informative conversation with the great Napoleon. You the man, Napoleon. We'll be watching you. Can't wait for your book and all the positive life that is going to change. I really believe that. Because we get to see somebody that's like us turn into somebody like you, you know?
Definitely.
So I'm
appreciate
hopeful.
It. Thank you.
I'm appreciative to it too. So thanks so much. We'll be talking to you. Enjoy the rest of your day. Love you, man. And peace be with you.
Peace be with you too.
All right. All the best. Hang on for just a minute. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to Rappers in My Backyard, the podcast that stays lit. Make sure that you subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit that bell. That's how you're going to learn about exciting artists that we talk to and what we got coming up. Also, make sure you check out our website at www.rappersinmybackyard.com and sign up for the newsletter. You don't want to miss out on what we're doing on this podcast, and there's nobody else like us. So make sure you subscribe and stay in that seat, and let's keep moving forward. I'd like to say thanks again to our special guest today, Napoleon of the Outlawz. He left us with some nuggets, uplifted us, and gave us something to move forward and be hopeful for. So I'm very appreciative to that. So let's talk, express, relate, and connect next Sunday at 2. Love you guys. We rap about relationships, entertainment, and music. You heard?